All right. This is the first unofficial episode of the podcast that Raptor
The
Killer and
unnamed
I are
podcast.
making. We don't know where this is gonna go. It's gonna be a mix of both anime, it's gonna be a mix of thoughts that we have. We'll just call it Random Thoughts with Raptor and me.
Random, intrusive thoughts, you might say.
It's, and so it's like it's different things, and I have a bunch of questions that I put up here so that we can have topics and such like that. But first of all,
Wait,
because
really?
it's I wrote them down just because I thought they would be interesting to talk about and stuff
Look
like
at
that.
you being professional.
I'm trying. So because it's tis the season
It's the season.
of the spooky month, I wanted to talk about one anime trope that I've seen arise in, or at least gain more popularity in a sense, is the interest for yanderes.
Ooh, all right.
So
That's a
yeah, it's
interesting
going to
one to
be a
start
deep
with.
topic on the first episode in a sense, but here's the thing. Why I bring this up is that like you and I, we know a yandere is considered like the more in a villainous type of position, right?
Let me preface this by saying my first favorite anime is The Future Diary.
Yeah, and there's
So
a
for you to
very
say that they're more villainous, I mean, that's a point of contention, and then we can start there if you want.
I mean, no, like okay, so the reason why I bring that up is that like I noticed that with the newer generation and such like that, and I'm about to age myself real quickly, in my soul, is that personally I don't understand why people are so interested in the yandere type characters as a love interest and stuff like that. That could just be talking about me and everything, but I've always viewed them as like yandere. Yes, it's a love option, but it's not the first one I would always go for, if that makes
You know,
sense.
yeah. So the thing I want to say about that though is I think it might be more psychological than anything else. And I think really that just kind of goes in with any trope in anime. Like it has more of a fundamental basis in like the psyche and it like if it's not something like surface level, it's more like in the back of your mind type of thing. Like, oh, you know what? Like maybe it's not outright, I want a psychotic, like psycho stalker, like, to just love me and care for me. I think it's more to do with the fact of like I want someone who really does care about me, who wants like who will shower me with endless love, and I think it's like those main things that people can just look into a yandere and say, you know what, I dig it.
So it's like the argument of if a girl were to date a superhero, supervillain kind of trope, but like they propose where it's like, oh, he'll sacrifice you for the greater good, versus the villain will destroy the world for you,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Because like I don't mind the trope of the yandere and stuff like that. The yandere is a very interesting trope that I do like within its storytelling, and sometimes it's a
Uh-huh.
really good plot device. Now my question is, why is the new generation so infatuated by a yandere to the point that they are willing to marry them, uh, and such like that, even though they know, like the yandere is borderline. If I can't have them, no one can, and is willing to kill you for it.
Yeah, that's always like the question to ask, huh?
Yeah, because like okay, so for example, I am aware there are yanderes who like different types of yandere. There's like a spectrum of yandere. That's the weird way to put it. Is that there is the yandere that are like, I'll just kidnap you, I'll keep you in my basement and stuff like that. You're with me forever and ever kind of thing. And then there's the ones that are like, oh, I'm just gonna watch you from afar. And then of course there's the super extreme one where it's like, again, if if I can't have you, no one can. Slice up, keep the head to yourself, kind of one. I'm looking at you, School Days.
Yeah. So the thing about that, so that reminds me of a like manga I was looking at, and the title is literally called "Did You Think You Could Run After Reincarnating Nissan?" And this, and so the thing that makes it all worse is like the very word at the end, her brother.
Oh no.
She like after their parents died, like like she just completely became unhinged and let out like her deepest desires. She absolutely like, just kidnapped like her brother, just like confined him. She did unspeakable things to that man, and he's just like absolutely done with it for years and years. And like the first chance he got of escape, he immediately took it and ran. And then, well, I mean, like Truck Kun like intervened, thanks to that, and just like that. He's in a new world away from like his completely psycho stalker yandere of a sister.
But not really.
Yeah, not really because of what happens afterwards. But besides that, like to think that it's gone to the point where even like your own like family members are like yanderes, there's like I think is very disturbing.
Yeah. Like, okay, so now there's a manhwa, and for context for people who are listening and such and not aware of what manhwa is, manhwa is a Korean slash Chinese. I think it's just any manga that's outside of Japan per se. They termed it as manhwa. I experience it more as a Korean comic. Most likely you're more familiar with it through webtoons and everything, where it's more of a vertical read scrolling situation rather than horizontal and everything. But anyway, the thing is that a really popular manhwa that got with the yandere trope was the very popular yaoi killing stalking, which is about a stalker who is borderline yandere, more like I'll watch you from afar.
Borderline.
Like, okay, so he himself doesn't like seeing his love interests with other people, but he won't act upon it. He's like, he's mine, watching from afar, kind of yandere. So again, the stalker side of yandere. Versus his love interest turns out to be an actual yandere who does the stabby
With
stabby.
just a stabby stabby.
He does the stabby
Oh.
stabby. But the thing is that in the plot, I actually sat down and read through this because I didn't know why people were getting into it. It was an interesting plot line, but I knew full well I should not be rooting for these guys to get together. So the love
I
interest,
think that's an understatement.
the love interest, like dates other people, women specifically in this sense, kidnaps them, takes them to his basement and stuff, and kills them. Basically just a murderer and stuff like that. And when the stalker finds out, this is like all in the first episode, and I'm not spoiling too much anyway. Um he
Maybe we
finds
should put like some spoiler alerts before like we talk about the specific
don't no, don't
mangas
worry.
and manhwas.
Don't worry. I'm just gonna put that. I'm just gonna put that in the as like a image or something like that, or disclaimer before that. Anyway,
Yes.
the thing is that like the stalker finds out and isn't disgusted by it. Like, yes, he's shocked and everything. Like, who isn't?
He's not really disgusted by it, you know?
He's shocked by it, but in his mind he's like, wait, so that means he's not
Aw, he does
actually
care.
dating any of the women. I still have a chance, kind of logic and stuff like that. He gets kidnapped and now is a slave to the love interest and stuff like that. But the love interest actually starts developing feelings for the stalker, even though he's still continuing to bring victims of women down into his murder basement.
At this point is where like the author would like, normally try to like write on in Stockholm syndrome. But I get the feeling right from the beginning there's no need for that because
It's
love is
already
already
in
abound.
there.
Love is already there.
Yeah, but like so
Oh
that's the thing.
no.
A lot of people got interested in it because I'm giving you a visual verbally and stuff like that. The way I could describe the love interest is kind of like how K-pop stars look like. You know?
Mm.
So that's why I put this up where there's an disturbing amount of interest of people into yanderes is because it's like the problem with my problem with 50 Shades, where it's like it's okay, it's not like it's okay, sure, it's like Stockholm syndrome, borderline creepy and stuff, but he's hot and rich and
Like Stockholm syndrome, but better.
it's like I get benefits out of it, so I have no problem being manipulated. And I'm like, no, I don't, not my thing, thanks, no, 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 no. Anyway, so the thing is that one of the notices that I've had, because I stick around with TikTok to promote for my business as a sticker maker and such like that, as well as my streams
New age.
and everything. Actually, no, I think TikTok. Side note: TikTok is a lot easier to manage social media wise than Twitter, Facebook, and all the other and Instagram and stuff like that. Because at least with TikTok, um, it's very similar to how Vine worked. So where it's
Right.
like you don't need to make super long content or put too much effort. You could just make something short, simple, and sweet, and get on with your life.
Yeah, well, I've seen you try to make at least one, and boy, did none of that look short, simple, and or sweet.
Because I'm extra, and you know that.
Are you?
I'm
How
extra.
extra? You're not just extra. You're like extra that comes along with the extra.
Anyway, so I noticed that on TikTok a lot of people were interested in the more yandere type of characters with the trends and everything, that it made me a little bit concerned for the younger generation and stuff like that. Not to say like they're doing it to the point that this is like their version of a realistic. It's all for laughs and everything. But
It's
it
all for
makes
clout.
it what makes me concerned is like what are we gonna see in our future content for things like otome games or reverse harems or just harems anime in general or just anime in general where the love interest is gonna be borderline toxic.
So, a thing with that I want to ask is how young are these people where you're like seeing this happening?
So the
Like,
thing is,
if these are 10-year-olds or like 13
no,
year
no, no,
olds,
no, no.
sure,
I
that's
think I think
concerning.
I think it's like high school, about to get into college age kind of thing.
I mean, I mean, I got into like the Future Diary like around like mid high school, so it's not that unusual. I think around that time period.
Well, I
If it was
think
earlier, yeah, I think there'd be like a bigger issue at hand.
Well, no, my concern is more on the fact that how common these characters are popping up more and more and everything. So, for example, um, the one area that I got really confused about, like I had to take a double take, was around the FNAF community, specifically when Security Breach
Well, you
released.
see, that's the issue though. It's
It's
FNAF.
FNAF. I know, I'm on the
The
furry
fan base is
community.
already
Look at
unusual to
me.
begin with.
I know about the furry community, okay, and stuff like that. I'm part of it. But the thing is that it's not because of Freddy or Monty or something like that. It was for the daycare workers, the Sun and Moon daycare workers that people were
Those
having
guys are
interest in,
pure
and
nightmare fuel.
I didn't understand. Maybe it's just not my interest of guys and everything. I could talk about my husbando list for another video and such like that. But the thing is that I don't really see an interest for what is considered skin and bones type of characters and everything. It's the same thing. Like I don't really find Jack Skellington all that interesting as a character. In fact, I find him more of a villain of his own story. So
No, he is the hero of the story.
he
You
caused
need to
the
look deeper.
problem.
You need to look deeper into the story.
He
He
caused his
accidentally
own
caused it, but
problem.
he has the heart of a like, like the heart of a great makings of a character to even go through with it and resolve the issue he unknowingly
He
caused.
was a
That
character
right
that
there
was
is like,
dealing with freaking burnout to the point that said, I'm gonna have a hyperfixation about something else and force everyone else to have the same hyperfixation.
you see, when you come from like the one place where it's like literally the same thing day in and day out, I think he's kind of justified in just having that burnout. He's like, you know what? I'm kind of tired of this like Halloween thing. There's no new spin to it. There's nothing cool. There's nothing great.
Yeah,
Boy,
yeah.
if they had like, even something remotely close to like the internet in like Halloween Town, they would have like a huge boon and like new ways they could spin Halloween.
Mm.
He probably would not have like been suffering that burnout the way he did.
To be fair, though, he also was given very harsh guidelines, considering the fact that the only competitor that he had was Oogie Boogie, but Oogie Boogie took it too far, so that they crowned Jack Skellington because he was the more safer version of what they wanted to represent. Because Oogie Boogie takes it a little bit too far on the kids.
Yeah, so I mean, he's like so like just by that alone, he's got the like a heart of gold. He is like like a leader in charge. Like these are the makings of a like of a protagonist of a story of the hero.
Well, he's not
To
the
call him a
leader. He is their
villain,
only brain. Even the mayor goes up to him to ask for advice and stuff like that, as if all the townspeople can't even make their own freaking decisions.
Which they can't. Honestly, have you seen them?
One of them doesn't have a brain. I'm gonna give you that.
Okay.
But anyway,
But
going
have you
back.
seen them?
Yeah. But anyway, going back to the Yandere conversation and stuff like that, my concern is more on the sense of like, what is it? Like, more and more people are into the whole like Yandere type of characters that it is growing into a level of concernity and everything. I mean, I'm
Concernity?
not like okay. I think I say that I'm not interested in Yandere, but I like looking over the list, my husband list, because I have it on the side here and such. I could
That's
kind of,
disturbing.
I could kind of squint where I have a Yandere preference, but I think mine is like super vanilla compared to like what I've seen for Yandere, especially like Future Diary or like Higurashi levels of Yandere, you know what I mean?
Would you even classify that as like a yandere?
The Higurashi characters?
Yeah. They're just straight
Um
up psychotic. There's no love involved.
I think okay, in some time loops it is. It really depends on
like
what
which
episode that
one
you're gonna.
though?
I think it was what was it, the ponytail green haired one.
Because it's not Shion or Mion, I'll tell you that much.
I was gonna say the ponytail one.
Yeah, that's one of them.
One of them?
They
Really?
not once that they ever strike me as romantic, except for maybe towards like the like other sister, and even then it's more like of a family type of love, but like completely like psychotic.
Mm.
But
What about the poster child of Higurashi?
the guy,
No,
or is it like the younger one?
the little girl, the
Okay,
redhead.
redhead.
Uh, natural redhead. We're not talking about little red.
Uh,
The orange haired one.
the one with the little hat on top.
Yes, she's on every
Okay,
poster of
you said the
Higurashi.
little one. She's not little. She is like, like at least the same age as everyone else. When you said little, I thought of like the Shrine Maiden one with the blue hair.
Hmm.
Because I was
Sorry,
like,
I I'm gonna say this
well,
for the viewers and stuff. We apologize if we don't remember names and we're triggering you about not remembering their names. I'm not a big fan of Higurashi, and I don't care to remember names if I don't really like the characters or
oh,
the
I
show.
love that show, but I still can't tell you the names.
And Raptor just is horrible with them.
I know the main dude is Keiichi, and then there's Shion and Mion, and then there's Rena, and then the little kids.
Wow, great effort! You showed how much you actually love the show.
Well, I mean, I focus more like on like the like older kids than the younger ones because I don't really want to be staring at little kids. It's kind of creepy.
I think the borderline character that I could say would be kind of yandere-ish is maybe Shishomaru from Inuyasha. If I were to get on the hypothetical, you are to
Really going with
date
the
Shishomaru.
classics.
But the thing is that like, what is it? Back then, Shishomaru was seen as a very powerful being and stuff like that. So it wouldn't be yandere. It would be more protective and stuff. So now the question becomes, what what fine line do you have to cross over to become yandere and not be considered protective?
Is that rhetoric or are you genuinely asking me?
I'm no, I'm genuinely asking because of the fact that
Okay.
like so for example, if we're gonna take Shishomaru as example or any like if we're gonna go on a hypothetical and use a general term, say like a god falls in love with you and stuff like that, and you become and you fall and you too fall in love with them. And if you were to get hurt, they would protect you at all costs, even kill the person who is who hurt you and stuff like that. Does that become protective or yandere?
So I think before you even try to reconcile like what something is or what it isn't and try to figure out that fine line, we should probably take a step back and just look at a yandere overall and see what the deal is with that and try to define that.
Mm. So should we let me see. I'm gonna look up a Webster.
Because like the main defining things about it is that they're obsessive over a specific person and um would you say that hostility is like a defining trait? Because if it isn't, then well, it, then that just kind of like opens up the door to like a whole lot more debate.
Hmm.
But if you do say that hostility is like a thing that makes a yandere, great. You already have like the two main things like about them that you can just kind of like pin down and say, yeah,
Okay.
they're
Okay, so it says here, according to dictionary.com, because Webster Dictionary didn't have it, um,
of course not. It's not a proper word.
Yandere is a character most often female and in anime who become violently possessive of a love interest because the
So
two characters.
possessiveness and violence.
Yeah, but so here's the thing. Because yandere becomes from two Japanese characters where it's yanderu, meaning to be sick, and the second is dere, which is love struck. So a yandere is
They're quite
considered
literally love sick.
yeah, they're lovesick, but it's often a sweet, caring, and innocent before switching to someone who displays an extreme, often violent slash psychotic level of devotion to a love interest, and sometimes it might include brutally murdering other girls out of jealousy.
Okay, so that already gives us like the key marks we can just look at and just kind of like pin down on what a yandere is.
Where jealousy
Cute
has to
and
be
or
key in
innocent
there.
prior to obsession, the moment of obsession, and then the extreme violence that is accompanied with that, like, obsessiveness.
So is the key part where you are already or not in the relationship? Would you say is more on the key, the key point to differentiate like protect like harshly protective and yandere? You think? Because from my understanding, yandere are more of I'm in love with you, but I'm not in a relationship with you yet to the point that I have to show my devotion.
Yeah, so I think being in a relationship is a kind of a defining thing, but there's some debate there because if you're talking about Sesshomaru, and you were like having some like debate about that. Well, to kind of like counter that idea, there's also like Yuno from the Future Diary.
Yeah,
She's
I don't know.
with
I
the
don't.
guy,
So they're
so
already in the relationship, correct?
but even before then, she was already like straight up like completely
She showed,
yandere.
yeah, she showed the signs.
Yeah,
Show the
and I
signs.
mean,
It's like we're trying to like show the signs of
true crime
autism,
right here. We're trying to find like the
autism and stuff like that. Like it's a mental health disorder and everything. We're not saying that. Please, if you have a mental illness, get help and stuff like that. Seek help.
make sure to put in like like a image of like the hotline number you can just have them refer to on screen.
Yes, yes, it's gonna be in there. So instead of the part where it's like whether
Oh, right,
they're
right,
in a
right, right.
relationship or not that defines it,
I
it's
don't
more
think it
on the
is.
feeling. It's more on the like the nature of the violence in a sense. So for example, when
I
I
don't
gave
think
my
it's just the
example,
violence.
well, no. So for example, she is willing to kill other people out of jealousy and stuff like that versus protectiveness. Again, it's in the definition, stuff like that, because when I gave the example, it's like he's willing to hurt the person who hurt their partner because again it's protectiveness and stuff. I'm doing this because I have to protect my partner from getting hurt, kind of thing, versus like I'm killing them because I love them
Right,
idea, which is like a very loose term kind of thing.
right, but she does like the whole like uh killing and murdering part in different instances with different motivations. One, she does it to protect, and then like another time she does it just to kill like any opposition to her. And the third one is she's literally killing at his command.
Mm.
So
Wasn't also the third one because of the fourth one because of jealousy, or
that goes
that's more
along
the second one.
that's more with the second one.
Mm.
But like with the first one, yes, like she did it out of like protection because like in the first, what was it, episode or two, when like the main guy's about to get killed by their homeroom teacher, no less. She literally like steps in, intervenes, they fight him off, and then like I think she manages to like to kill him.
Mm.
And um granted, it wasn't like a huge bloody spectacle because I mean, because of the nature of the show itself, she didn't have to do like a whole lot of fighting other than just be really good. I just talking to others and convincing them you got to do this.
So
And
now
I
my
mean, she did it out of protection.
yeah, so okay, so here's so now I have a question to follow up with this and stuff like that. Future Diary is considered more like a horror related show, right?
Um,
In a weird psychological sense.
Psychological, yes, but I wouldn't really say a whole lot of horror. It's more of a, like a Hunger Games type of show.
So it's more like a
Um,
gore suspense kind of thing.
yeah, yeah, gore suspense, psychological, but it's not really that horror like Higurashi is.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean,
Yeah, it's not like when we're watching Higurashi, or we're watching like Shiro, which is a horror based anime and stuff like that. But now I'm trying to put two and two together. It's like, do you think the fact that Yandere showing up in horror related like anime is goes hand in hand in a sense because of the nature of the of the type of character?
no, I think that's just par for the course, a
Mm.
bonus, if you will. It's not a requirement, or
Well,
like
no, no,
there's
no, no,
no.
no, no. I'm not saying a
It's
requirement, but it's more like that if you're gonna have a yandere and stuff, the way the show's gonna go is more horror esque, rather than you can't have a lovey dovey romance and then have a yandere as the main character.
I've seen some. Wait a minute. I've definitely seen a show like this. Spoilers. Data Live. They're like
Data Life works like this because
to an
I
extent.
haven't
It's a
watched too much anime
happy-go-lucky
in the
anime.
last.
Like it's mostly a rom-com thing, harem type of show. But there is this one girl who's like kind of a psycho, and I mean like she murders people, but she doesn't do it necessarily out of love. She so happens to like someone, and she's also in the business of like murdering people.
Well, no, now the
And
question is
because
that
of the
now.
show, that's kind of what they have to do with these specific characters.
Yeah, yeah, but now here's the question and stuff like that, because didn't we just define that the yandere has to be murdering for the interest of their love?
I also said
Like within the context
killing
with the context of
others
it.
in opposition.
Yeah, but no, no, no. So here's the thing: is that you said in that example, everyone technically has to murder and stuff like that. It's like kind of like their job in a sense. And she
I
has a
said
crush on.
violence.
Oh yeah, but like, so there comes into that and everything and such, because then that's just a happy-go-lucky. Would you actually consider that yandere if they're in a violence related career and they like someone and stuff like that? They're not actually acting of violence for their love interest.
Okay, I'm gonna have to like, I'm gonna have to look back at the show itself because they were like on season 3 or 4 or even 5. I lost track. But at some point, I mean, like, yeah, she kills like on the side because like she's doing off her own thing, and that's
Hmm.
just kind of like what these beings kind of do. They kind of use like their goal is to kind of like kill humans. I don't know if they ever explain how or why or if they have to, but she does it. And at some point, I mean, like she did kind of have like this breakthrough moment with the guy where like the dude just kind of like convinced her, hey, maybe you don't have to kill people, and like that's kind of like the moment where she's kind of like like she had this like realization of maybe I do like you like
Hmm.
romantically, and then that line of thought was immediately cut short because of herself
Hmm.
because she has time power, so she technically killed herself. So she was like, okay, let's not go down that track anymore. I have a crush on you. But guess what? I'm still gonna kill people. And the dude's all like, no, wait, don't kill people. Killing is wrong. And you know,
Yeah.
protagonist, you're gonna have to
So
write that in there.
while you were talking about that and stuff, I wanted to
Mm,
see
great.
what is considered like examples of yandere according to like
Online
lists,
sources.
some online lists and everything, and I want your 2 cents. So we already talked about the one from Future Diary and such. Um,
She is the defining, like,
she is the
she's the
poster. She
definition.
is the poster child of yandere, if you
Yes.
will. Other than Yandere Chen from Yandere Simulator, but that's just a given because that's her name.
Right.
So this list starts off with Lucy from Elfenlied. I I
Oh,
kind
okay.
of kind
I
of
would go for yes.
yeah, but I think it's also because of the context of the show itself and her as a character and stuff. It's an added on bonus and everything.
Yeah.
It's a weird like you have to kind of read between the lines and stuff. I would say a yes for Lucy. Uh,
It's yeah, it it's definitely a little bit more like read between the lines type of situation, but yes.
This one immediately gives me a I'm not too sure Mikasa from Attack on Titan. I kind
She
of don't think so, because given the context of the show, everyone has to kill Titans.
right, but it's not just Titans. I think at one point, like there was like this kind of like I guess break in between all of the fighting, and they're like in the training camp, and Aaron's just kind of there doing his own thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe like some other girl like expressed that maybe she had interest in Aaron, and Mikasa just looked at them and was like, "No, you don't." Like
I get.
for your
I
safety, you
haven't
won't.
watched Attack on Titan. Attack on Titan's not exactly my cup of tea, and I'm scrolling down through the list and everything. I saw two school day characters and stuff, and I already know that it's like it's kind of given to the course of the way that kind of ass was.
Yeah. And I mean like going back with Mikasa like real quick.
Yeah.
It's more debatable, but I would also lean like on the no on that front. You can maybe make an argument and put out a few more examples that would say, yeah, yeah, actually, yeah, maybe, but for the most part, maybe
I'm
no.
leaning towards no, because given the nature of the show and everything, it's more of a it's more of a like um survival of the fittest, and she's just happening to take care of Aaron because they're childhood friends.
No, actually, because of spoilers, it's a little bit more than that.
Uh, uh but like you
Because
know what I mean? It's not
it's more than just that. Like she doesn't like him just because they're childhood friends. There is a
there's more
whole lot
stuff
more.
after that, but it's like
But the
now
point is, love is there, whether you say it's true or not, because of spoilers. That's up for you to decide. But there is some love, there is some obsession, there is violence, but it's not in the way that you could probably define that as a yandere type of
mhm.
character trait she has.
Okay, so here's the thing. I'm looking through the list, and some of the characters in the anime they're from, again, it goes back to the part where I was saying that does yandere and horror like anime go hand in hand in a sense, because one of the other examples is Dead Man Wonderland, where it's
Ooh, okay.
Takami and everything. She's the youngest of the three, of the Minatsuki and such. Yes, she is kind of a yandere because she has an F up pass in a sense and everything. But again, Dead Man Wonderland is considered more of a
I
horror
like how
as
they put
survival one.
horror. I don't really think fits the bill too strongly on that one. I think it's just more of a again
Suspense.
like yeah, more suspense. And it's funny how they put her on the list. Is the other one there as well?
Let me see.
The main girl?
Let me see. I'm going down in a sense because I'm going I'm going a little bit slow on this and everything. I don't. Eh, lem-
Shiro isn't on there?
Dead man.
Because given
Nope.
like the nature of
Nope.
the show,
Nope.
she is not. Wow. Okay.
But also, this list is a little
So there's
bit.
something definitely wrong with that list.
This list is a little scuffed on me because the next entry was Misa from Death Note, and I wouldn't say Yandere per se. She's just more of a fangirl.
She is more of a fan. No, actually no. She did do it like out of love and because she's also a fangirl. But
Yeah,
like
yeah, but she like so she did kill with the Death Note in a sense and everything. You know how the whole show is supposed to be and stuff like that. But my definition of I guess a yandere in a sense is when you do it with your own two hands. If that makes sense, you know what I mean? Like you put in the effort to actually kill him.
right, but would you still not consider someone a yandere if they psychologically manipulated a third party to do the killing for them?
Okay, so now we're getting into deeper levels on the spectrum of yandere. Like, how detailed of a yandere are you? Are you a mastermind, or are you like, baby, I'm just gonna stalk you kind of yandere?
Because I mean like because of her from like Death Note, like yeah, she did kill people
With
and
the
she did
Death
do it
Note,
out of
yeah.
love.
Mm-hmm.
Even if the Death Note is a medium by which she kills someone, I mean, what's
She
the difference
still
between
killed
her
people.
writing it and her maybe pulling out a gun and shooting someone.
Yeah, yeah, I
She's
I
not really doing it
suppose.
with her own two. She is doing it with her own two hands. It's just a different way of doing things.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. All right.
There's an argument there. Yes.
All right. So, I'm scrolling down the list a little bit more and stuff like that and everything. I'm
I still
skipping
can't believe
over.
Shira's not on the list
I'm
because of
surprised by
like
that too.
because of spoiler reasons. You know why, right?
I know why.
Yeah. So why like that list? It ain't right.
I'm just using it as a quick reference and stuff. I didn't think we were gonna go
Mm-mm.
this too far into like analyzing the characters and stuff. Let's see. Okay, I have questions about this. It talks about Haru from My Little Monster, which is definitely a romance anime, and he's not yandere. It's more like he's stupid. Like, cause the thing is that Haru himself, he's a dumbass when it comes to romance and everything and stuff like that. So he doesn't know how to deal with his emotions and everything. And he's the stereotypical like delinquent kid. So he fights people, but he doesn't kill anyone for his love. He just gets into weird situations where he fights people. So again, this list was already scuffed when I was going through it, and I was getting a little bit iffy about some of the characters and everything. Let's see.
Right.
Um, Dance with Devils, that entire anime. For context, Raptor. Dance with Devil is a dating sim game that got turned into an anime where the main character is the daughter of a priest and
Oh,
gets sent to a school, and all the boys that fall in love with her are devils. And
amazing. What are the odds?
they want to corrupt her and such in a Catholic like school, and I'm like, really? This and it gives one of the characters as a yandere and stuff like that. And I'm like, all of them are. They all want to corrupt her and kill each other for her love because it's a reverse harem.
Yeah, if they are demons and this is a reverse harem, it's kind of a given.
Yeah.
And only one character is on the list, like no one else?
Not any of his brothers. I mean, okay, one of his brothers is a little bit nicer about it and stuff like that. But if anyone, it can't be Lindo. Lindo is the oldest one, but he's not the creepiest one. The other ones are more creepy. I'm surprised that none of the diabolic lover characters are on here, which is another reverse harem where the main character is the daughter of a priest, but she has pure blood, and instead of devils, they're all vampires.
Bruh.
It's Twilight, but worse. I will always give Twilight trash whenever I can. And like I said, I feel like other shows do Twilight better. I'm a little bit biased to Vampire Knight, but I wouldn't really watch it willingly.
Rosario Vampire for me.
Rosario, but the girl is the vampire. That's why it's better.
Exactly.
Not the guys and they're
That makes
fighting
it
over.
better.
Okay, so last addition to this list apparently is that Levi Ackerman from Attack on Titan. Would you consider him a yandere? For context, everyone, I kind of sped through this list. There's 30 entries in this one. I didn't care to read through all of them and stuff. I just looked at the ones that I think were kind of strange and stood
Interesting.
out
Yeah.
and stuff. I don't think Levi is a yandere per se. I think he's just
Um,
really strict.
he's very strict, but then again, it also kind of ties into the spoiler reasons why they would even put him on that list.
Yeah.
But again, with like Mikasa, like I don't really see it to a yandere extent.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, like one of the things we kind of like set as the conditions was they kind of like do it either to protect directly because they love someone or because there's like some kind of opposition that stands in their way.
Yeah, like, oh, this is my competition kind of thing. But
Yeah,
like,
or like yeah.
so I don't think Levi is considered one. If for
Yeah,
all,
he doesn't really fit that bill.
like he kills and everything, but given the state of the anime that is Attack on Titan, everyone's got to be good at killing.
Well, no, not even just because of like the state of the show itself. It's more just like because of like his intent to kill.
Hmm.
It's not necessarily out of love for someone in particular. If anything, it's more of just a like one out of self-defense, or two, he's got to babysit the brats.
No, you want to know what I find very odd about that list? I feel like it's probably on the older side. They didn't put Toga from My Hero.
Yeah, that's very true. That is for sure like a
So
yandere right
so
there.
so for
Um,
so here's the thing. Here's the thing. Like if someone wants to get like a very simple definition of what a yandere is and stuff like that, it's Toga's whole personality in My Hero Academia.
yeah, she's clearly becoming the new what is
Yandere
it? The
waifu.
not waifu, just like the poster child for being a yandere.
But I think that's mostly because she acts a little bit more on the cutesy end of it, so that it's a little bit more palatable. If that makes
Yeah, for
sense.
sure.
So, like, what is it? Her quirk all revolves around blood anyway, so it's kind of a given if that she also falls under the personality of Yandere. Now, that brings up specifically because of Toga, and then we'll move on, I guess, to another episode where we talk about how certain things in My Hero affect the characters and stuff like that. But for Toga in
Yeah,
specific,
quirks. That's an entirely separate
yeah,
conversation on its
so
own.
so for Toga in specific, do you think that the quirk affected to the point that she became Yandere like, or she always had the personality and then the quirk just emphasized it? Because now that kind of gets into
That's
a
gonna open a whole different can
nurture
of
versus
worms.
that goes into a nurture versus nature debate.
Yeah, so like does the quirk influence the person or does the person influence the quirk? And then again, if it's inherited, like a genetic thing, then I feel like that just kind of goes like along with the other things as well. Like,
Yeah,
okay,
because
are
yeah,
the
because for
quirks
example,
linked
Todoroki I think
to?
is the exception after that. That the quirk doesn't really affect his personality. It's more like how he was raised to have that quirk.
Yeah, but even then, like
We'll touch on that on another
we
episode.
like, yeah, because like you could say he's kind of like an altered sample. Like, yeah, sure, if he had
The
not gone through
outlier,
what he had gone through,
the
yeah,
outlier in a sense. But so for
maybe.
Toga's situation, do you think the quirk caused the yandere-ness, or that she always had it and then the quirk just solidified it?
I'm thinking it may be like both, which is a very cheap cop out, but my reasoning for that is if it is, well, if quirks are genetic as they are, and
Yeah,
people
because
just
we
kind of
haven't
tend
met
to
her parents in a sense.
I was gonna say people kind of just tend to kind of like inherit traits from their parents, especially genetics wise. So
Look
it
at
would make
Suyu.
sense. Yes, it would make sense that she just kind of like in like she it's kind of hard to put into words,
She was
but
raised with knowledge that her
she's kind
quirk
of
was going to be
raised.
blood related in a sense.
I think it's more like an instinct that she kind of like felt right from the get go, and I feel like that would just kind of have to like tie back into her birth, like right from that moment. What is it already decided that like was her personality already set in stone from that way, or is it once her like she kind of awakened to her quirk that she started developing these habits, these
Yeah,
obsessions?
yeah,
And
because
that is something that may not be really elaborated upon, like at all in the story.
we're probably not going to get anything out of it because like what is it? We got more backstory on twice of all people.
Yeah.
But like okay,
And
so
here's
now
another case.
so here's the thing. Here's the thing and stuff like that. Cuz the way Toga acts, if we take out the murder part and stuff like that, she is literally just a middle high school girl who's just likes boys, right?
Yeah.
And stuff
Yeah,
like
I
that.
think that just about sums it up.
Now we just add the murder part to it.
It
Like
wasn't even murder, like
she just
spoilers.
she
She like straight up just like stabbed the guy she liked.
that's why she's after Deku.
And now she's going after Deku, yes.
Well, she's interested in guys who get beaten up really good. Because that's why she
She's like
likes
that clown
Deku.
from Hunter x Hunter.
That's why she likes Deku. She saw him get look really beat up and thought he was cute.
She saw the blood like oozing, and I was just like, yes, this is exactly what I want.
Because okay, so now this is something that I do have to acknowledge and stuff like that. Do you think that yanderes have some kind of mental disorder going on in the background as well?
I think that's kind of a given, yes.
Like, or at least like in media. We're not saying that everyone that has like a mental disorder with violence and stuff like that is automatically a yandere. No, 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 no.
No, 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 but
This is
some, but
fiction.
it,
This is fiction. This is fiction.
okay, but to twist that argument around, just because you're violent doesn't mean like you're a yandere. But if you're a yandere, I think that does heavily imply that there is like some underlying condition going on.
Yeah, because like, so for example, a typical way a girl, like two girls who like
A
the same
normal
guy,
person.
they would have a quote unquote civil war in a sense where they wouldn't exactly like each other, but they would say things. It would be more of a verbal kind of war where it's like I'm gonna go talk smack about her behind her back, ruin her image kind of thing and stuff like that. Not I'm gonna go to her house and stab her.
Well, I mean, like you could, but there'd be like a lot of ramifications for that.
uh, but like okay, so then the question is that like so all these characters that we've named so far and everything, do you think there's like an underlying mental disorder going on with all these yandere characters and stuff?
I would
Because
say yes.
yeah, because
But then
like
again, we do need someone like Victor in here to just kind of like give us a diagnosis on that.
yeah, we do need a mental professional and stuff like that. So like just given the nature of things and stuff like that as human beings, like just baseline human beings, most people don't want to hurt each other.
Well,
Or at least
somebody tells me you don't really look at history.
but like but like
In our civil modern day society, hurting one another is not really a thing we even think about too often.
mhm.
Unless like they really upset us and they're like, man, I really like wish I could just go ahead and punch that guy in the face, you know?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
like
but
that'll
not
be
to
the
the
extent of
extent
it.
yeah, but not to the extent of murder.
I hereby challenge you in combat. I challenge you to a duel, good sir, and they throw down the glove.
And, yeah, like cuz back in the day we would have they would have like
They would have duels, and
yeah,
that's a
gun
civil
duels
way
and
of
stuff.
fighting someone.
Yeah.
But before then, it would just be like straight up like I challenge you to a like a fight right here, right now. Draw out your sword and let's fight. And before that, it would be like, hey, I want food and water. You have food and water. I'm gonna get this club and beat you over the head and like take you out so I can have your stuff.
Yeah, I guess
So
it's cuz like we're more in a civilized society where it's like violence with guns and knives are considered like
in a
insane.
sense, you've been defanged,
Yeah.
declawed.
Yeah. And like the question that I have is that do these people who are yandere, because it's not it yes it's more often girls but it's not exclusive to females in media because there is male yanderes but we just didn't really give a lot of examples here today, is the fact that they like for example um people who are
They
autistic they lack the social interaction in their brain because it's not developed there or doesn't exist per se and stuff.
for some genetic components,
Hmm.
yes.
So with Yandere is it's not the social part, it's the violence and everything. Uh they don't have like the intuition to know that if I do this, it's gonna kill them and there's gonna be repercussions in a sense.
I don't know. Some people, like some youngers, definitely think that far ahead, and they're like, "Nah, we can still roll with it." I
Okay,
know exactly how to like circumvent this whole situation.
okay, so then that gives us the thing of like, so is there a mental disorder or they doing this by choice?
Would
Like
you
they
say
know full
people?
well as like
Well,
the logic like you and I have.
think about it like I guess to an extent like a serial killer.
Hmm.
Do they have remorse, regrets for doing some things that they do?
I mean, some
Or is it just more
murderers.
out of a morbid curiosity? It
I mean,
depends,
yeah.
right?
I mean, yeah. So yeah. That brings up a good point because I've heard some serial killers where they don't have like in their brain they're unable to
Their
have
humanity.
yeah, they don't have humanity. They have no remorse. They don't understand and everything. They go too far in a sense. Like I remember one story of this is aside from anime, but I remember one story that I heard of a child's older brother, like he killed his younger sibling over breaking his toy to the point that he lodged pieces down his throat and killed him. And he didn't feel bad about it and stuff. He just went back to playing next to him.
That's really messed up.
And so now my question is that do yanderes also have that like mental disorder? It or is that not the case for all of them? It's just like oh, a good percentage has it kind of thing. You think?
I think it is definitely a case by case basis
Mm-hmm. So
because some of them for sure just don't feel any remorse. Like, oh, there's nothing wrong with the like with what I'm doing. I'm only killing people. There's
like
no big deal here. And others will be like,
yeah, so
yeah, I
yeah,
kind of have to,
yeah,
because
like
like
our example for Future Diary and stuff like that. She knows she has to and stuff like that. Lucy definitely has remorse, but given her past and circumstances, she knows that she has to.
yeah.
So like in that case, she doesn't really have a mental disorder and stuff. Versus does.
There was something broken with her right from the get-go.
you know,
If not,
we all
very,
know.
very
I'm
early
gonna put it
on.
on screen right now. Look at this character and tell me there isn't something wrong with this face right here.
Depends on the image you're using. If it's her with like the happy cutesy smile, yes, there's absolutely nothing wrong with her. Now, if you have like an image of her posted up with like blood splaying everywhere and she looks completely unfazed, yeah, maybe there's an issue here.
and then like other characters that are like there's something wrong, but it's not because they don't have a sense of remorse. It's more on the sense of Stockholm syndrome, like Misa from Death Note and everything. Then, like, it's a case by case basis what
Yeah.
kind of condition they have. So, for example, uh, Toga has more on the sense of she understands what's going on, but she takes pleasure in doing so because it's like, oh, this is how it's supposed to be for me specifically
Right.
and stuff. She has the level of understanding, but she doesn't care. Misa has the level of understanding, but she does it out of love, and it's like, oh, this is the only way I could get his
Oh,
love for
he said
life.
like he would like, take me out on a date if I killed 50 people like, this week, so quota's a quota?
Yeah, and then for Lucy, Lucy understands. She doesn't like it, but she has to. She cares
Yes.
deeply. Like she will feel remorse later, in a
Mm-hmm.
sense, but she understands why she has to go to the ways that she has to go. And then we go to and knows she doesn't get it. She understands. She doesn't give a damn.
She doesn't really care considering her circumstances.
Eh.
Because of like what she's gone through and I mean like just the absolute like nothingness that there is going on in her life. She literally had no reason of like to even keep on living until the dude just stepped in and was like, "Hey, something something watch the stars with me one like someday." And she's like, "Yo, let's go." She had this huge epiphany, this big brain moment where she was like, "I know what to do now."
I know what my life's purpose is.
Yeah. Okay, so with everything we've gone through so far, May, can you please summarize the key points we've gone over?
So, to summarize for Yandere and such, Yanderes are characters most often female, but not exclusively, who are deeply in love with their love interest to the point that they will act very violently towards anyone that gets in their way or violently against their lover. Is a prime example of that. But if you want a very more plain text, like poster child where you could ease someone into the Yandere world, look at Toga from My Hero.
I was gonna say the real answer is nothing because it just depends on a case by case basis.
But like
Because there's a lot of exceptions with a lot of these
yeah,
characters.
like we saw Misa and stuff like that, and then again
And
with
we still haven't
Mikasa,
gone back
obviously,
over like to the characters you were talking about in the beginning with your
with killing stalking and such like
yeah.
that, and
Like
everything.
what about them? How do they fit into this?
Well, the love interest, I don't care to remember the names at this point. I apologize to
Wow.
any killing stalking fans. It's out of my mind. It's been years since
You
I've
can literally just put it there
Reupload.
like in the top right corner. His name is dot dot dot.
But anyway, so the thing is that he the main the Yandere, the real Yandere, the love interest, does keep the stalker solely because he doesn't want his secret to go out. He does have a face to represent in a sense that he is this
Hmm.
popular, very kind guy and stuff, so that he could keep bringing victims in and such like that.
So
But
I feel like there's like a divergence point there, like between one being a yandere and two just being a complete psychopath that wants to like. Does he feel the need to kill these people? That's a
yeah,
question to consider.
so the love interest does need to kill and such
He
like that.
needs to.
But the thing is now in the context of that character, he actually do it for his lover, which in this case is now the stalker, because
Yeah.
they slowly develop feelings over time, which is ironic because it's like um Stockholm syndrome for each other,
Well,
or like you know
the the love
fictional
was already
Stockholm.
there from the get-go.
The love was
Like
from the
Stockholm syndrome is
stalker.
something that slowly builds up over time because you're like kind of like stuck with like the kidnapper.
But the thing is that this is a weird case. The kidnapper is the one getting Stockholm syndrome. So, for example,
Mm,
the stalker already was in love with him, but now he's being held captive by his love interest, and he doesn't mind. But yet, the love interest, he didn't really have a love per se for his stalker. He just kept him around because if he lets him go, he's gonna go to the police, call all that yada yada and
oh,
stuff like that.
okay.
But then he slowly develops feelings for his stalker, who he is keeping in prison and such. So it's a weird case of who's the yandere in that situation then, because the stalker also feels like he needs to keep the secret and kill um the women that try to escape, because the stalker's there at the home,
Mm-hmm.
and he's he is a prisoner, but he also works with the killer, the love interest, to keep his victims in the basement.
Okay. So
So
I feel like if
he's an
anything,
accomplice now. So
I
is
feel like the
he the
stalker
yandere?
is more of a yandere. Yeah.
Yeah, the stalker,
The the,
not
the,
the
the
no
perpetrator
love
him
interest.
the kidnapper, it doesn't really, by the way you described it at least, maybe there's a little bit more nuance to it, but he doesn't really strike me as a yandere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's psychopathic. Yes, he may be slowly like succumbing to love and all that, but
That's just Stockholm syndrome.
the violence and the obsession are not like on the
In the
same
context that
wavelength.
we
They're
had.
both occurring, but they're both occurring for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I think
This,
it might be more of a Mikasa situation and
yeah,
Levi. Like
yeah,
killing's involved. There might be some obsessiveness to it, but it's not really targeted out of love.
yeah, in a
Whereas for the
weird sense.
stalker, it kind of is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is just again just we're not giving the audience like the absolute definition of what a yandere is and stuff like that. We're just discussing over like what our thoughts would be considered like a quote unquote definition of a yandere, other than what the dictionary gives us.
Yeah, so I'm definitely gonna be like writing up and like putting like a list on there, like okay, so like in the top left corner. So what makes a yandere a yandere? So like like
It's more like okay,
like character trait one, two, and three, and
instead
then
of
like
a hard set list of like the check mark and stuff, it's more like a overlapping circle diagram where it's like they have this trait, they have this trait, they might have two of these traits, they might have all three of these traits, but it's not guaranteed that they're gonna have all three, because sometimes you might have different combinations of the circles together to be
right.
considered a yandere.
And I feel like it's this is a really weird comparison, but I think it might be closer to just like language in general, like the syntax rules for language. Like in English, if it's like you're supposed to like, read or pronounce things this certain way, But, there's like here's five different exceptions to where that doesn't apply. Like, I before E except before C and in neighbor and way, and you always be wrong no matter what you say. So like there's a hard set of rules you can abide by, but there's also like a rule of like there's also exceptions to the rule that exist.
Hmm. Yeah. So I think this is a good way to close it off and such like that. So thanks again for coming to our first little episode of our little podcast and stuff. Next time we'll touch a little bit more on the nature versus nurture debate of My Hero Academia and such like that, or we'll talk about some other
Works.
topics that will fit within our time. So, all
Yeah.
right. Do you have anything to say before we go?
Drink water, stay hydrated.
And keep on listening, folks.